Welcome to Mediaspace Members Daily. We bring you exclusive interviews from our leadership group and other professional influencers within the media, marketing, gov, tech community globally. Today I have with me Sebastian Voigt, Senior Vice President at Axel Springer HY, the consulting group of the Berlin-based media and tech company Axel Springer. Hi Sebastian, how are you?
Hey Lavina, thank you for inviting me.
What are the key challenges now in digital transformation of companies, and what will Axel Springer's key success factors in their transformation?
Axel Springer is one of, let's say, the oldest German media companies and publishers. For 60, 70 years, we are developing and printing and creating newspapers and magazines like most media companies do. And still we realized, before I joined Axel Springer in the late 90s and early 2000s, that the way how we publish our news, our media will fundamentally change in the digital sphere. So Axel Springer, as many media companies, was disrupted by digital transformation very early, so earlier than maybe the construction industry or logistics or chemistry. And we somehow maneuvered our way very well through this journey, as we decided very early not to, let's say, see digitization as a threat, as a disruption, as a way where new competitors could come in, but as a way to actually be ahead of the curve and be a winner of this digital transformation. So very early, before this buzzword of, startup and tech ecosystem has been formed, Axel Springer was already scouting for potential technology investments, changed its business model pretty fundamentally, not only investing into, let's say, classical one-to-one digital adaptations of the old publishing model, but also went into new, let's say, ancillary spaces such as digital classifieds, digital marketplaces, platforms. So not only what we would classically call media companies. Nevertheless, in the core, we were the first ones in Germany who created paid content offerings with Welt Plus at that time, a few years ago. But by now, Axel Springer is one of the world leaders when it comes to digital classifieds. So, for example, the Stepstone Group, the leading job classifieds group in Europe, is part of the of Axel Springer. In the UK, you may know Total Jobs and JobSite, which is part of it. A lot of real estate classifieds and other prop tech companies, for example, such as Purple Bricks, the largest UK-based digital real estate agent, and many more. So I guess, long story short, the key success factor was really to digging very deeply into the tech ecosystem very early on, and to integrate external innovation into, let's say, the corporation, and not only looking from the core, from journalism, what can we improve, but actually what are our roots combined with how the ecosystem is changing all around us, and how can we combine our strength with these changes to create something new. This business model change also created a fundamental change of the entire culture. And by now, in any media we're publishing, it's always digital first. We are not laughing at startups, but we are trying to embrace their innovation power for our own sake. Since the media companies are constantly under attack and constantly being changed, we try to embrace this change, embrace the disruption, and disrupt ourselves as much as we can.
What growth opportunities do you see for the media sector in the next few years, and how can you identify these early on?
The last years have especially shown a kind of, I hope the word is right, democratization of media publishing. I mean, if you wanted to show your opinion 20 years ago, you probably had to be a publisher, and you need to have your own newspaper, or you need to go into be a columnist for a newspaper. Right now, everybody has the chance, may it be on Twitter, Instagram, or any social network, to create their own media brand. I mean, any big blogger has probably more followers and a stronger brand than most classical media brands. And we see that the media creation has certainly changed from, let's say, a central publishing model to a platform model where companies such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the likes offer the opportunity basically for anybody to create their own media brand. And I mean, YouTube and TikTok, and there's a plethora of platforms who do it in a similar way. It's not only the written word, but you can create your own video blogs, of course, texts, you can create your own podcasts. Basically, every kind of media type has been democratized via platforms. Of course, these platforms are still kind of threatening sometimes because they make the rules for the game, for this new game. They have a lot of power. And I guess classic media companies also like Axel Springer are also competing against Google and Facebook. 10 years ago, if you asked our CEO probably about our classical competitors, he or she would name regional publishers in Germany. Now we are talking about Google and Facebook, who are kind of frenemies. Somehow we cooperate with them, but on the other hand, they are also kind of a threat for media companies because they aggregate everything that is done somewhere else, use it for their own purposes. They filter on Google, for example, different external sources, and then dictate the rules how it's been published and on how successful then these media companies can be. So democratization is some kind of a medal with two different sides. On the one hand side, I believe it's good because everybody can start their own media business, but on the other hand, you're super dependent of some algorithms which have mostly been developed in the Silicon Valley, which is not bad necessarily, but it's also some kind of difficult to really understand it and capitalize it fully.
What's your advice for the Mediaspace community?
I feel that every journalist, blogger, media, let's say, creator has the chance on the one hand side to jump on that train. So I guess you can be part of a strong platform and drive your own business. And I think this will change a lot of media structures in the future. I mean, many media companies or classical publishers have already failed, at least in Germany. The number of publishers due to mergers or due to insolvencies have dramatically reduced over the last years. If you take good old printed newspapers, it's decreasing by 5 to 7% every year anyway. So the structure will not change. And I guess the first wave of digital journalistic business models have been advertising models, then came the paid models, and now we see these meta models where some platforms are dictating the game. And I guess for anybody working in that field, my advice would be to not stick too much to old classical publishing rules, but to really understand the tech ecosystem, how it's being developing, what the startups, the techies in Silicon Valley and Tel Aviv and Berlin are doing to really disrupt the current media space again. And then a community should adopt very quickly on it, because very often this disruption happens very quickly, and then you should be ahead of the curve. And maybe the media space community can be one of these disruptors in a positive way and help out its community by taking good content basically to the right people. That's what should always matter.
Thank you, Sebastian, for joining us today. It was insightful to hear from you. Stay tuned for the next episode of Mediaspace Members Daily. In the meantime, connect with us at mediaspace.global.